So today I want to talk about that specific feeling of loneliness that comes with doing a PhD, with doing research in general. And of course, there is your supervisor, if they are present, there are your peers, there are your colleagues, but eventually, when you remove all of that things, it is you and your ideas and your research and your own feeling of inadequacy and not being good enough and not knowing what to do next and so on. And I feel when people think and discuss about what is hard when it comes to doing a PhD or doing research, they think about hard in terms of science. Like science is hard because objectively it is hard to do something for the first time and move this general human knowledge one step forward. So this is hard, objectively it is. But what I feel isn't discussed quite often is this inner feeling of what is hard. Like it is hard to be all alone with all of those questions in your head, especially if you maybe have an absent supervisor who is not there, colleagues who are maybe too competitive and are not really willing to share their knowledge and their expertise, or some collaborators who keep pushing you into something that you don't feel comfortable, or you are simply not an expert, and then a huge part of the project basically falls on your back and you're like, I'm not quite an expert on this, why are you requiring me to do this part of the job? But objectively they don't have anyone else, so you as the PhD are the lowest piece of the chain, right, of the food chain, if I should express myself in that way. And it makes sense that it doesn't make sense, but it's very common that it falls on your back. So I want to discuss this a little bit today, like this feeling of loneliness and how hard it is to be alone with your thoughts and with your own mess without having a clear direction of what should be done next. And from my experience, this was something that drained my energy a lot. Like this feeling that no one in the world, or at least no one whom I can access, knows more about that topic than me. And then I don't know how to guide myself. Like no one can guide me through it because it basically has to be me. Especially if your supervisor, as I said, it's not that present or is not that on top of things because maybe they're busy, they have other projects, or sometimes they're not even interested in your project, so they just ignore you completely. So this feeling can be quite energy draining, and it can really reduce your motivation to the minimum. And it makes sense because how can you feel motivated if you do not see the light at the end of the tunnel? Like it's a very dark place to be, not knowing what to do next. And especially since around you, like people are working in the industry or maybe starting families, having a good salary and so on. And you're like there, okay, I'm here sitting at my desk with my research questions and my friends are having babies, getting married and so on. So there are many layers of that loneliness, like loneliness in your research, but also loneliness in who really understand who are the people who really understand your struggle. And unfortunately, there are not many of them, unfortunately, and most commonly, I would say, it's just you with your research and so on. So I want to say that over time, I realized that research lives sort of in that strange space between my instinct and my expertise. Because at the end of the day, when you are alone in that process and you do not have anyone to guide you through it, you can only rely on yourself. And after some time of processing of like first with victim mentality, like poor me, I don't know how to do and what to do next and so on, you realize, okay, no one is going to save me. So I'm either going to push through it or I'm going to basically leave it that way and start doing something else. So you start sort of feeling, at least it was my experience, I started sort of investigating, okay, where does my intuition, what does my gut say? You know, that specific thing that scientists used to say, like a guesstimate, what would be the solution? And that was exactly what I was asking myself, like, how can I find that place? And I learned that there exists a place in you that somehow knows exactly what you have to do next. But in order for that space to thrive and to become visible to you, you have to sort of make certain conditions so that creativity can be sparkled again and can come again to the surface, because it's buried in deep levels of self-sabotaging, urgency, meetings, emails, drafts, failed experiments, and so on. So it's quite of a digging process until you actually reach that out and say, okay, now I can continue. Having said that, I want to tell you that if this is what you're feeling right now, if this is what's happening with you right now with your research, if your supervisor is absent, you don't know where to start from, you don't know how to continue, you are stuck with your research and you still need to get stuff done, like that's this place where you need to continue doing stuff, but you don't know exactly what you should do. So if this is you right now, I want to invite you to schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me. You can find the link in the description. And in that call, we can talk about your specific challenges, your specific problems, your specific issues right now that you're facing that are preventing you from continuing with your research in the way you would like to and in the way it would be optimal for you, and most importantly for your mental health and your peace of mind and for your clarity, so that you know how much is left, what are the next steps that you should take, and so on. So I hope that you found this video useful, that you can feel that you are not alone, because this is the main message that I wanted to transmit. And as always, see you in the next few days in another video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.